Alright boys, so this is going to be a bit of a different type of video, but it's something that I've been getting asked about a lot, so I thought I'd make a video on it. The question that I am asked on a daily basis over on the live streams is, so what do you think about Season of Dawn? And to be honest, I don't ever really know how to respond. And instead of telling you what I think about Season of Dawn, I'm going to tell you what I think should change going forward, because I hate just mindlessly complaining about a game and giving no real feedback. So today we are going to be talking about why ritual weapons are boring and pinnacle weapons need to come back. And real quick, if you're new, and only if you enjoy the videos, then be sure to subscribe. Also, I live stream daily over on twitch.tv/myfi with an underscore at the end. You thought I'd forget about the plugs? Oh, no. Okay, let's get started. So to start us off, I'm going to briefly go over how pinnacle weapons in general were introduced into Destiny 2. Pinnacle weapons originally got introduced into the game back in Warmind during year 1 of Destiny 2. The first pinnacle weapon was from good old Shaxx, and it was the REDRIX'S Claymore. No, not the REDRIX'S broadsword. We will get into that in just a second. REDRIX'S Claymore was a pulse rifle you earned once hitting Fabled inside of comp in Season 3. Now, one thing you should know is that back in Season 3, reaching Fabled rank was hands down one of the most mind-numbing, tedious things ever. But once obtaining Fabled and you were rewarded with the Claymore, not only did it feel good, not only was it a powerful weapon with its own unique perk, but it turned heads when people saw it due to the sheer difficulty to obtain it. I'm pretty sure less than like 10,000 people got this thing. Now, fast forward to Season 4 and the launch of Forsaken, we saw the release of 3 pinnacle weapons compared to the previous season of only 1. Season 4 introduced Luna's Howl, Not Forgotten, and REDRIX'S Broadsword. Luna's Howl was a lengthy quest that required tons of hand cannon kills in comp, then ended with once again getting Fabled in the competitive playlist, just like the Claymore from the previous season, but this time around, hitting Fabled was not nearly as hard. Now remember when I said it ended with Fabled? Well, I lied, alright? Upon getting your shiny new Luna's Howl, Shaxx then gives you a quest that tells you to master the Luna's Howl in the competitive playlist. 500 kills to be exact, back in Season 4. I know it's like 300 kills now, but back in Season 4 it was 500. Upon getting those kills, well, now you have to reach rank Legend, which is the highest competitive rank. Now, once you suffered through that, you were then given the Luna's Howl's bigger, beefier brother, Not Forgotten. Not Forgotten had the same unique perk as Luna's Howl, but Not Forgotten had much more range and overall was a better gun. Then we have REDRIX'S Broadsword, which was a result of literally everyone complaining about how impossible the Claymore was to obtain, so Bungie made the Broadsword, which is the same gun as the Claymore, but instead of making it super hard to obtain, they instead put it behind one of the most grindy quest lines I have done to date. It was like Bungie saying, oh, playing comp is too hard, well then how about we make it not as hard, but stupidly grindy. Like, this thing didn't require any skill. It just required you to do so many things. Like, for example, one of the 9 steps for this quest was to reset your Valor rank 5 times. But upon completion, you were given the Broadsword, which, like I said, was an exact replica of the Claymore. Same unique perk and everything. Then in Season 5, we saw another change, and one that has stuck to this day. 3 pinnacle weapons spread across the Crucible, Vanguard, and Gambit. Remember, previously, we had only ever seen pinnacles offered from the Crucible. Now, without going too in-depth about the 3 pinnacle weapons released in Season 5, instead, what you should know is that they were about Luna's Howl from Season 4, difficulty to obtain. Now, what do I mean by this, you may ask? And my answer to that is they were easier than the Claymore and Not Forgotten, and not as grindy as the Broadsword, but still required a fair amount of your time to obtain. But something else you should know is that every pinnacle weapon had a special perk on it that is not found on any other weapon in the game. Destiny 2 followed this pattern all the way through its second year and finally came to an end with the release of Shadowkeep. To sum up all pinnacles for anyone still confused or just not getting it, pinnacles started out almost impossible to get, the Claymore, then evolved by Bungie testing out 3 different pinnacles in Season 4, One being super hard to get, like the Claymore, but this time around it was not forgotten. One being super grindy to get, the broadsword, and one being kind of in the middle, Luna's Howl. All of this while still giving each weapon a special perk and giving you a yes, I finally got it feeling once obtaining it. From that point, going into Season 5, they stuck with the Luna's Howl difficulty Pinnacle quest, and it worked out very well. Now fast forward again to the release of Shadowkeep or Season 8, whatever you want to call it. We saw the removal of Luna's Howl difficulty special perk Pinnacle Weapons, and in their place, we were given what Bungie is calling Ritual Weapons. Ritual Weapons took about half the time as Pinnacle Weapons. Like some of the rituals, I and many others were able to bust out their corresponding quest in about an hour with proper strategies. They also had a combination of column 3 and 4 perks that you could choose from compared to a special unique perk found on Pinnacle Weapons. To sum up the Ritual versus Pinnacles, Rituals took about half the time and had no unique perks. Now on to the meat of all this and what I believe should happen going forward. Don't get me wrong, Ritual Weapons are great weapons with some fantastic perks. Example is Randy's throwing knife, which has rapid hit and kill clip. Both of these perks are top tier perks and in combination with each other make a fantastic deadly combo. But they lack that I grinded for this weapon for hours on hours, and in exchange for my effort, I was given a weapon with a unique perk found nowhere else in the game. This right here was hands down one of my favorite things about Pinnacles. The feeling of getting them, and the fact that no matter what you did, you couldn't get a Pinnacle Weapon perk on another weapon unless you got that specific weapon, whereas if you look at Rituals, yes, they are great, but every Ritual Weapon perk can be found on other random rolled weapons, pretty much making Ritual Weapons useless to go after unless you were chasing a title if you already had the same weapon archetype with the same exact perks. I mean, yeah, you're losing out on the ability to switch your column 3 and 4 perks if you wanted to change up your build, but to be honest, most people ran the same perks on the Ritual Weapons and never really bothered changing them. And on top of all that, Rituals, to I and many others, just don't give you that feeling of, yes, I did it, and now I have a weapon that is the pinnacle of weaponry. They were called Pinnacles for a reason. They were supposed to be top notch. Now, yes, there were a few Pinnacles that got a little too top notch upon the release. Recluse, Mountaintop, Not Forgotten. And yes, most of these weapons have since been brought down in power, except Mountaintop, but that's a different topic and I'm just salty that I still get killed by it. But if you do exclude the weapons I just mentioned, then I believe Pinnacles were perfect and a real in-game activity for hardcore players to grind for, or just a fantastic achievement for casual players to obtain, even if they only got like one a season. For example, I have a friend that plays a few days a week for only a few hours on those days, and back in Forsaken, he put most of his small amount of time playing into getting Loaded Question, and still to this day, he uses it simply due to the fact that it is a great weapon, but also the fact that it has a unique perk and to him was a real achievement to unlock. It just made him feel special. You understand what I'm saying here? Pinnacles were a real achievement to unlock and just gave you a feeling that Ritual Weapons just don't do. Now for what I think should happen going forward. I believe that Pinnacles should make a return. Maybe not 3 new ones every season, but maybe 3 once a year or 1 every season maybe. As long as the weapons are actually getting tested before releasing them so we don't have a repeat of Mountaintop Recluse, then I'm 110% for them coming back. If they do bring them back how they were in terms of difficulty to get, then maybe only require players to obtain one of them for the seasonal title if they do include them in the badge for that season. If they do add Pinnacles back 1 per season, then whatever faction the Pinnacle is part of, that being Vanguard, Ritual, or Crucible, then maybe give the other faction a Ritual weapon. I believe Pinnacles and Rituals can definitely be in the game together and no one would really mind. I mean, who would mind more content? Not me, that's for sure. I'm tossing small ideas here as I know Bungie is the only ones working on Destiny compared to year 2 where multiple teams were working on Destiny around the clock. But at this point, I want to know your all's opinions on this. Do you agree with the removal of Pinnacle Weapons and why? Do you agree with me and you think Pinnacles should come back? And if so, then what ideas do you have for them to actually come back and how to make them work? And yeah, I've said what I've wanted to say, so I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.